shopgear.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the TCRP Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast. We've taken a little bit of the break because of the holidays, July 4th, America's birthday. But because of it was America's birthday, I have my special guest host with me once again, Sergeant Fury.
Today, we celebrate Professional Wrestling Day. Woo! I was trying to be President Whitmore from Independence Day. It didn't work. How's everyone doing on this recovery from Independence Day weekend? I'm your co-host for the show, Sergeant Fury. God, I can't wait to get into this because it seems like this has been the episode that couldn't get recorded, Pat G.
That is very true. We were going to record day before Independence Day, but due to plans that you had, I had, we couldn't meet up. Independence Day happened, same thing, and then the weekend happened. You had allergies and sinuses. I had allergies and sinuses. My power went out. It just, life was like, no, you cannot record this episode.
And I'm going to be honest, I was good with sinuses until I turned 30. And then, because my dad had bad sinuses, and I used to be like, my dad's sinuses have him in a dark room, and he's miserable right now. I'm glad I don't have that.
Yep.
And then I turned 30, and my dad was like, enjoy that shit, bitch. It's like, oh, fuck you, Dad.
Yeah.
For your sinuses.
Yeah, I always had allergy problems, since I was a kid, because I was allergic to, dust and smoke and pet hair.
Yep.
And then as I got older, I got away from it. But then life decided to go, all right, you may not be allergic to anything, but hey, we have all these other problems for you. And when all this shit happens, you're gonna hate everything. And that's exactly what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, and you lose your voice, and you can't really, give your all. But man, fucking, it's time to rock it, dude. We're finally together. We're finally on the TTRP. Let's fucking do this.
Yes, we got a bunch of stuff to catch up on. First, we're going to start off with AEW Fyter Fest. All Elite Wrestling putting on another fantastic show. And to start off the show, you had a triple threat match. South Central, the SCU versus the Best Friends versus Private Party. Now, Private Party is a tag team that I have witnessed in person a couple of months ago when ESW Empire State Wrestling was in Rochester. It was Private Party versus Infinity and Beyond, the team of Colin Delaney and Cheech. And these four men put on a show during that match.
Yeah, and the one thing I can say about this is it's the fact that this was your pre-show.
Yes.
It says a whole goddamn lot that this is your pre-show. And, one of the things that they've talked about is tag team wrestling is going to be extremely highlighted by the time, AEW hits TNT this October. You have three great, phenomenal seasoned tag teams out there on a pre-show giving it their all. It's like, you know what? Let's do this, especially with, SoCal Uncensored. They've got my money already.
Oh, absolutely. And it was the version that wasn't involved Christopher Daniels. It was Kazarian and the third member of the team in this tag team triple threat. But the thing is, they also you also faced the Best Friends and, of course, Private Party. So it was a thing of you had three teams that were veterans, so to speak, but also you had two teams that were, you had the team in Private Party that was youthful as well.
Yeah, and, the cool part about it is that Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian, the resumes speak for themselves. And by working with these younger teams, they are going to bring them up in a great way. And that's exactly what I like seeing in AEW is not necessarily all of the young talent coming up, but the older talent working with the young talent to show them exactly how to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And, of course, with this match, the Best Friends pick up the victory. and a solid match from start to finish. It was one of these matches that just had a lot of action, but the layout to all the action was great because it allowed everybody to have their time to shine.
Yeah. And the cool part about it is it's like, this was available for free $99, and you got to see this. I mean, this could have been the opening match, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to take some heat for it. Don't give a fuck. This could have been the opening match of an NXT show, and people would still be talking about it. It wouldn't have been glanced over as some people may be doing it, but you know what? They're developing their tag team division. It's going to take time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's brand new. It's a brand new company. They're building it from the ground up. Let's do this.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the actual show, Fyter Fest itself, the opening match, which was originally supposed to be Leva Bates versus Kylie Ray. Kylie Ray was replaced with Allie. Very little to no explanation as to why. And this match was as good as it could get. Was as good as it could be. It was very slow, and it seemed like Allie and Bates did not really have a lot of chemistry with each other.
Which happens from time to time when you're working with someone that you may not have any experience with. I mean, I've had matches that maybe didn't go as well as I thought they would.
Yep.
But at the same token, who's to say that later down the road this isn't a glitch? I'm going to be straightforward in saying that Trish and Lita's matches weren't always the 5-star matches we got used to. They built up to that. It's like, and I'm mentioning obviously the ruthless aggression era with that one, but it's like, it started in the Attitude Era, and neither one of them, at least on Trish's side, was a fully built wrestler. By the time we got their feud, they could go for like 20 minutes. And
exactly.
It was amazing. So we'll see what comes of this. I mean, it was, some might say it was a slow-paced start to the show, but hey, let's start rolling out the women's division.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, following was the hardcore match: Michael Nakazawa versus Alex Jebley. Nakazawa picking up the victory, which this match was shockingly okay for a hardcore match, but also the crowd was into it.
I think that first off, I know that there's been some talk about the size of this crowd.
Oh, yeah.
There have been some knocks on the people that came and how they still had to curtain it off. Okay. You can have a crowd of 4,500 people. That sounds louder than a crowd of 50,000. Okay?
That's very true.
I've been at the Hammerstein Ballroom on an ECW show. I've also been at a WrestleMania. My ears were bleeding after the ballroom, but I digress. As far as a hardcore match, I think this crowd was ready for that. The wrestling fans are ready for actual good hardcore matches, which we'll get into later on in the card.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah. And both stars came out, swinging. They knew that this was their opportunity to make a big splash on a big platform. And the fact that it was free, more people were willing to tune in.
Oh, absolutely.
I know I tuned in. And the best part about it was that, yes, do I believe that they gave one hell of a performance? I think both guys put themselves on the map as far as people to watch on TNT this October.
Oh, absolutely. Up next, you had Christopher Daniels taking on Seema. Seema picking up the victory over Christopher Daniels. It was a match between two very good established veterans, with the right man winning the match, as Seema is going up against Kenny Omega very shortly here.
Fight for the Fallen, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, that's it. And I mean, he's a good opponent for Kenny Omega leading up to All Out. And he caught my attention because Christopher Daniels, obviously, people have been watching him, some fans like myself, openly gonna admit it, introduced to him through TNA,
Yep.
That's the first time I saw him. And it was just like, wow, this dude, he's got all the tools. He's absolutely talented. And then also with SoCal Uncensored, he's able to just fly off the cuff with these great promos and show a different side of him. That's someone that SEMA can learn from. And he, much like as, when we talk about WCW and, Monday Nitro, you might not have known who a Jushin Thunder Liger was when you first tuned in to Nitro when he wrestled Flying Brian Pillman in the first episode. By the end of the match, you knew who
he was.
Thunder Liger was.
Yep. Absolutely. Up next was a triple threat match, AEW women's action, Nyla Rose versus Riho versus Yuka Sasaki. Nyla Rose came out. This was her coming out party. This match.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was funny because the first thing I saw of her from this was a clip from Twitter for TNT, and she's doing a fucking leg drop off the top rope.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting here, I'm just like, she's money. She's going to be so much money for this company. I mean, she's got all the tools, all the talent. I mean, just let her go.
Oh,
just
absolutely.
Let her go.
Riho picks up the victory in the match, but definitely it was good, and this was kind of Nyla Rose's coming out party, to be honest. And
yeah, I mean...
but up next, the four corners match, so to speak. Hangman Page versus MJF versus Jimmy Havoc versus Jungle Boy, who came out with Luchasaurus.
Oh my God, I marked out. I'm not gonna lie.
A lot of people marked out for that moment.
I mean, I'm sorry. If you would have told 8-year-old me, okay, there's going to be a dude who is giant as fuck, who wears a wrestling mask like a Triceratops and calls himself Luchasaurus, and you're going to scream like a giant child when you're like 37, 8-year-old me would be like, that sounds amazing. And guess what? It was.
Absolutely. When I saw that, I immense elite pop for that moment.
Oh my God. And to think, Paige is going into a huge match at All Out. Got him versus Jericho, and the Paige train just keeps on rolling. I mean, his standing shooting star press is just about sickening.
Oh.
And for his size, shouldn't physically be able to do that kind of stuff. He makes it look effortless. He's got all of the tools, all the talent. And I mean, this was a guy who a few years ago was a teacher working at a school.
Absolutely. And Hangman Page picked up the victory, of course. It was a match that allowed Page to maintain the momentum that he has on his way to fight with his match with Jericho, but it also allowed Maxwell J. Friedman and Jungle Boy to get time to shine and show off. And of course, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the pairing of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus goes.
I mean, once again, you have the building of a tag team division, and Jungle Boy is so awesome at that character and his persona, and he doesn't break it. And that's the best part is that he reminds me of, a Mikey Whipwreck or, a Colin Delaney, a smaller guy that could just get the ever-loving shit beat out of him. And it's cool because he's a Jungle Boy.
Yep.
Like, I know that sounds weird to say, but he's also got a giant dinosaur wrestler with him.
Yep.
It's like he's got an insurance policy, and God forbid if he ever turns to the dark side, because shit, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Up next was Cody versus Darby Allin, and this match, it went to a draw. 20-minute time limit. I did enjoy the fact that Jim Ross was putting over Allen like kind of on a very high level.
Yes.
Cody has become a man that he's learned the game. He's working matches with great stories, leaving the nonsense at home, and just able to call a great match and everything. With the finish, with this going to a time limit draw, it protects Allen, of course, leaves Cody undefeated heading into the next show, and then of course sets up what happened after the match.
Yes. So okay, unfortunately, this match took, and I'm not taking anything away from both guys, so before anyone thinks I'm shitting, I'm not shitting. There were two things that came out of this match that I don't really believe needed to come out of it. First off was the gif of Darby jumping off the turnbuckle and just essentially taking a flying back bump onto the apron of the ring.
Yeah.
It's like, first off, don't do that. Like, I know that sounds like, hey, you could land wrong and cripple yourself, or, hey, you could, fracture your coccyx, or damage your spine, or give yourself a concussion. It's like, I don't think as great a match as it was, that's the one thing that that's one of the two things people are going to remember about it.
Yep.
The second thing is the chair shot.
Yes.
Okay. Now, here's my problem with the chair shot. My problem with the chair shot was not that Shawn Spears hit Cody and Cody didn't, quote, protect himself. Okay? Because Cody turned around and there was Shawn Spears, so it worked for what they were doing, a surprise attack.
Yeah.
I'm not angry that Cody took it, or the staples in Cody's head.
Yep.
What I'm angry about is you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? Like, you have wrestling fans that are clamoring, give us that old spirit of wrestling where dudes just beat the shit out of each other and blah, 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 blah. And then the moment you get it, you call foul.
Yep.
WWE fines people, what is it, $50,000 for a headshot?
Yeah, unless it's like I think it's around 50, and I think it's one of the things of if it happens without their prior knowledge or they've like okayed it. Yeah, I think it's like a $50,000 fine.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, when Undertaker took the chair shot from Triple H at WrestleMania, what was it, 27?
Yeah, 27.
From Atlanta. Yeah, both of them got fined $50,000, which, don't get me wrong, for those two is probably like, whatever.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
because that spot was uncalled for and not covered, unlike the one that followed in 28.
Yeah, it's like, the thought that I have is like, you can't say you want things to be brutal, and then when brutality happens, it's like, yes, I understand, CTE. I understand concussions. I understand it. I've studied in psychology. I've got a degree in it. I understand the human brain, and all it takes is one hit to the head, and you can completely change your personality, let alone a history of concussions. I'm well aware of what happened in June of 2007. Okay, it's not lost on me the shit the NFL has gone through with the lawsuits from former players in the billions now. It's not lost on me about Junior Seau's suicide is linked to his CTE and his years of playing for the Chargers that led him to that.
Same thing with what Major League Baseball is facing now with catchers.
Yes. I'm well aware of this. If it only happens this once and it becomes a shock value thing, like, holy shit, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't do this very often. Is it going to be the Royal Rumble 1999 where, Mankind gets handcuffed and hit in the dome like 20 times unprotected? No, it's not going to be that. But at the same token, I don't think you're going to see this on televised TNT primetime.
No, not at all.
I think and not just that, but it's like, Cody maybe should have known there was going to be some blowback, but fans, come on. If you can't say you want things hardcore and then get pissed off when things get hardcore.
Yep.
That's like asking for a blowjob and then being pissed off when you come.
Yeah, basically, it's the true thing. Basically, it's that. And this is the thing. Like, I saw the chair shot, and I was like, I wasn't mad at it because I was like, you know what? It's Cody. Cody knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, you got to think of all the people that are behind the scenes for AEW. You have Dean Malenko. You have Arn Anderson. You have a Diamond Dallas Page. You have all these guys that learned under the tree of Dusty Rhodes, and Dusty Rhodes never did anything for the hell of it. He always had a means and a purpose to do something.
And not just that, but it's like, okay, since that happened, Sean Spears is having an interview with Jim Ross, like a sit-down.
Yep.
Okay, Jim Ross's sit-down interviews with superstars helps make them. Okay?
Oh, absolutely.
He did it with Triple H. He did it with Mick Foley. He did it with The Rock. He
did it with Kane.
He did it with Kane. In my humblest of opinions, Sean Spears in NXT and in WWE was not put on, he wasn't even put on a D-lister level.
No.
Like, he'd make an appearance every once in a while. He definitely would have his number 10 WrestleMania entrance spot. He had, the cool spot at Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal where it was the Elite versus the 10. Okay?
Yeah, he had the Royal Rumble spot.
Yeah. Other than that, he did not get carte blanche to show his personality. With one fucking chair shot, he now put himself on that level of, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see Cody Rhodes beat the fuck out of this guy. Oh, he's the perfect 10. Let's see if he's the perfect 10 when he goes against Cody. It's like, okay, you're building a company of bad guys. You need bad guys. If he thinks that he can do a character that WWE wouldn't let him do, or that he maybe not had the opportunity to do, then fuck yeah. Let him take a chair shot like that and build him as a bad guy from there. Build him as a ruthless asshole.
Yep.
If that's your plan, awesome. Which I think is Cody's plan. You just need the spark to light that fuse.
Yeah. And the thing is with AEW, Cody has of course you see Chris Jericho, you see Hangman Page, you see Kenny Omega, you see the Young Bucks, you see Cody. Cody's for the first time in a while since he's left the WWE, Cody's being built as the good guy, so to speak.
Yeah. Yes.
He's not the heel. And
you're not going to boo Cody Rhodes in his own company.
Exactly. So Cody's but Cody's building himself as the face. Cody's also building himself away from the heavyweight championship division. He's not in the forefront.
No, which a lot of people would say, would have accused him of putting the belt on himself for his own company. You would accuse him of putting the belt on his friends. There's no guarantee that Hangman Page is going to be the very first AEW champion.
Yep.
Bad guys win the belt so that the good guys chase the bad guys. If Chris Jericho comes out of All Out with the heavyweight championship and people poo-poo on it, I'm just going to remind them that the first pay-per-view that ECW had, Barely Legal, in 1997, who walked out that event with the title? 52-year-old Terry Funk.
Yep.
It's not unheard of, and Jericho is performing at a level that is even higher than Terry Funk's.
Hell, look at the very first Impact TNA pay-per-view. Ken Shamrock won the NWA championship.
Yeah. at it and be like, well, what the F? But to me, Cody is making smart business decisions by staying away from that belt. The longer Cody stays away from that belt, the better it is.
Yeah.
Cody won the NWA title at All In. That, to me, for at least a while, should be the only belt that man holds in that company. If not, there will be accusations of him penciling himself in as champion.
Oh yeah,
which was a knock on Triple H for like a decade.
Yep, it was. And the thing is Cody winning the NWA title at All In, that had nothing to do with AEW. That was the NWA. The NWA is a completely separate organization.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it was on Cody's show. But at the same token, that put Nick Aldis on the map.
Yep.
That put that. How many more follows and subscribes does the 10 pounds of gold now have after that belt appeared on
All Elite? Yep. And All In and everything, and was with Cody for the month or so that Cody had it.
Exactly. So to me, I think that Cody is developing talent that he knows when they start going on TV,
yep,
they're going to need believable bad guys.
Yep.
He's doing it like his dad would do.
Yep. And the thing is when and if Cody actually goes for the AEW Heavyweight Championship, it's going to be at a point in time that it's a necessity.
Yes. I mean, Tommy Dreamer won the ECW title and never wanted to win it.
Yep.
And it's not unheard of for promoters, or it wasn't unheard of for promoters back in the day, to put the title on themselves because they could trust themselves as champion.
Yep.
Vern Gagne did it. Lawler did it in his promotion. You can go, the Grahams did it. It wasn't really until you had the NWA Championship where it was the traveling title. But as far as promotions went in certain areas of the country, you had these guys going and crowning themselves champion. Fritz von Erich.
Yep.
Fritz von Erich bred motherfucking champions. You know what I mean?
He did. And the thing with the NWA Championship, the NWA Championship for the longest time really only rotated between a handful of guys. Flair, Harley Race, and the Funks, and Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally you'd have someone else come in.
Yeah.
And, like a Stan Stasiak or whatnot. But I mean, for the most part, it stayed on a key group of guys.
Yep.
And for me, with Cody, with this title, I think I'm absolutely with you. He needs to stay away from it. And more importantly than that, I think he needs to just take the time along with the rest of the crew for All Elite and build stars and then let them do their thing.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's tailor-made.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is before we finish up the card here, the thing with Chris Jericho has even said it himself, he's mentioned in interviews, is Chris Jericho's the name that AEW has, that he's been everywhere. He's done everything. And he made, and I think I mentioned it the last time you were on, is Jericho made like the assimilation that in today's age, he is basically what Hulk Hogan was to WCW. He legitimizes it. He does,
and he is going, which is why, like, I kind of sit there, I'm like, he could win the title the first time out, and it would be believable.
Yep.
That's not the only person that is from the E that could win that title that currently is now with that roster.
Yeah.
Because the main event of this fucking card, like, the Cody chair shot is taking away from possibly one of the best hardcore matches in over a decade.
Oh, absolutely. Which we're going to get to. But Up next was six-man tag action, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. And I've worked a couple shows with Laredo Kid. Hell of a talent. Cool guy.
And let's just talk about the Young Bucks, Kenny, coming out in Street Fighter garb.
Yep.
You know, like let's just talk about that for 2 seconds, because first it was Elvis at, Double or Nothing. Now it's Ken and Ryu. It's like the Bucks are entertaining as all shit. And, the cool part about it is the knock on them for years is they're all spots and they're no psychology. Well,
hey guys, they've been psychology.
They're wrong, because it's like they're building they're taking stuff that has happened over the last few years and they continue to build on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Injuries well-known injuries that aren't real. It's like, oh, they're working his back. He's had a history of back issues. Bitch, he's selling. Like, what? It's like, it's good to see that they're finally not taking shit unnecessarily.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Omega and the Young Bucks picked up the victory with this match. But the thing was, it wasn't that the Lucha Brothers, neither of them took the pin. Laredo Kid took the pin. And it was one of the things of Laredo Kid actually took the pin after he got hit with the V trigger and then the One Wing Angel. So it was literally Omega's signature and his finisher that ended the match.
Which keeps him looking good going into All Out.
Exactly.
And it keeps Omega this, because he lost the inaugural AEW main event. Like, he lost.
Yep.
So of course he's got to start building himself back up and making that V trigger and One Wing Angel, which he was denied in his match with Jericho. Jericho went out of his way to make sure to thwart the One Winged Angel, which Jericho lost to at Alpha versus Omega 1.
Yep.
And it gave everyone what they wanted to see. They wanted to see the V-trigger. They wanted to see the One Wing Angel. They wanted to see Kenny go over. And that's exactly what they got.
Exactly. It's exactly what they got. And then, of course, the main event of the evening, the non-sanctioned match, Jon Moxley versus Joey Janela. Both men wearing the long tights for this match.
Yep.
And holy mother of God, this match was just all over the place, but so well thought out that it played so well to the stipulation that they had, and it delivered on the promised violence within the match because of both men's history within the hardcore scene. But it wasn't over the top. It was simple kind of violence.
It was okay. Now, as someone who has done hardcore matches, there is a certain art and a beauty in putting together a symphony of violence. You know what I mean? Like, it crescendos. You have to build it up. You can't just go out there and just throw the thumbtacks down in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't just whip out a giant strand of barbed wire in a minute and a half. You have to build the crowd's anticipation. You have ladders. You have tables, chairs, pliers, toolboxes get pulled out. You have chain. And then you start building. One of my favorite moments of the night, actually my favorite moment of the night, is when Moxley has Janela down and he's removing his shoes after throwing thumbtacks down.
Yep.
Now, thumbtacks suck.
They do.
I'm not gonna lie. But I don't have the balls to step on them because I've stepped on Legos. That hurts. An atomic drop.
You've been in a match with Legos. Let's just state that.
Yes. Like, I got powerbombed onto Legos.
Yes.
That sucked.
Yeah.
Joey Janela got atomic dropped onto thumbtacks.
Barefooted.
In bare feet.
Yep.
Bare fucking feet. You know what? And then he took, I think they're now calling it a paradigm shift. Not Dirty Deeds, they're calling it the paradigm shift.
Yeah, it's the paradigm shift. His non-WWE DDT.
Yes, his non-WWE DDT is now the paradigm shift.
Yes.
Go on Google and look what a paradigm is, and then you'll understand why it's a shift. But anyway, so Moxley, I'm going to go back to when, you know, he on the Jericho podcast said, you know, I'm a wild animal that's been domesticated for too long. I just need to get out and do my thing. Well, he fucking did it, and he did it fucking beautifully. He did it so beautifully. In fact, I see him with the AEW Championship next year.
Oh.
Maybe not always doing hardcore, but holy shit, has he been fucking killing it?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Moxley picks up the victory, and with the finish and everything. And then after the match, Kenny Omega attacks him, pile drives Moxley through a table, hits the springboard double stomp, and essentially getting his revenge for Double or Nothing. They brawl up and whatnot, and of course, Omega gets him and everything. And at one point, they cut to the camera, and Moxley's just laying there smiling. Just, dude, Omega just beat the shit out of you, hit your own finisher on you, and you're laying there just like smiling in like that, like Jack Nicholson Joker effect.
It reminds me in many ways of the dude who you know is fucked in the head.
Yes.
And he wants a fucking real fight. And someone punches him really fucking hard, and all of a sudden he just is like, oh shit. Oh, this is actually gonna be a fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get punched and you're just like, that was nothing. That was nothing. Then that one guy comes up and just fucking blasts you, and you're like, oh shit, that tingle. Let's have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what this moment was. He now knows he's going to get a great fucking fight out of Kenny Omega at All Out. All of this is building to Chicago.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, even Fight for the Fallen is all building to this massive sellout again at, you know, the Sears Center in Chicago. And it's like you already are getting a lot of matches that you're chomping at the bit for, because 2 years ago, I would have never thought Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in Chicago would be a thing.
Oh, no,
now we're getting it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's one of the things that AEW is giving you stuff that you never thought you'd see, just based on certain guys being in certain companies and so on and so forth. But AEW's kind of like, all right, we're going to give you the dream matches that you wanted to see.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm just gonna, yeah.
And as crazy as it sounds, and we'll get into it after the break or whatever, because we're going to get into the WWE talk and what they're doing. There's guys in the WWE that I'm honestly hoping at some point do get released, because I want to see the matches that they could have with the other guys.
There's one guy in particular that, if he showed up at AEW, would be the biggest heel the company has. And it's someone that no one would expect.
Ooh, we'll have to dive into that. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a small break. We're going to pay some bills for the Gear Network. Of course, this is the Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast, brought to you by Gear Network, and of course, shopgear.com. I'm Pat G. That's Fury. Check you later on the other side of the break.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Ryan Wolf
And Mr. Perez.
from the Better Live Than Dead podcast. You can catch the Better Live Than Dead podcast on the Gear Radio Network, betterlivethandead.com, and wherever you get your podcasts.
That's right.
With that being said, hey, we talk about sports, we talk about music, we talk about entertainment.
I make things really awkward sometimes.
That sounds about right.
Uh-huh.
With that being said, though, as you always know, we are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
We'll catch you sometime very soon.
Welcome back again to the TTRP part number 2 of this episode. Of course, Pat G. The G stands for Gangster, along with Sergeant Fury. We just finished talking about AEW Fyter Fest. We're going to get into WWE and what's been going on in the WWE world. And some big news, of course, with the names of Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. And a lot of people said that the moves that were announced about Bischoff and Heyman becoming executive, creative control, basically, for Raw and SmackDown is in reaction to AEW. Not to mention also the ratings, but everybody knows the ratings is the greatest.
I mean, a bad week for WWE is still better than a great week for WCW back in the Monday Night War. Like, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
My thoughts when I heard that they were coming in as executives in creative for each show. First off, I thought, okay, are they just on-screen personalities? What the fuck? Don't get me wrong. There's a market for Paul Heyman, and yes, there is a market for Eric Bischoff. 83 Weeks is probably one of the most popular top 3 wrestling podcasts on any given day.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a market for Eric Bischoff. Now, when I heard that Eric Bischoff has moved to Stamford,
yes,
that sent me back. I was like, okay, Paul obviously lives in the New York area, Long Island and shit.
Yep.
But when I heard that Bischoff now has a place in Stamford, and is basically ushering in a new era of wrestling this October when SmackDown goes to Fox on regular prime time, on regular what would be basic cable, I was shocked. It's a bold move. And the reason why I think it's being done, and I'm just, armchair quarterbacking it, you have to remember, Vince loved that competition. And what's more is, it's better to have Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman pissing on the inside of the castle than outside pissing on.
Yep.
And Eric Bischoff has gone out and said how he would do AEW if he had a chance.
Oh, absolutely.
Eric Bischoff is a smart motherfucker. Eric Bischoff, and it's being in this Nitro book that came out. I thumbed through samples of it and everything because I just wanted to get a little bit a little bit behind it because I've heard so much about it.
The book by Guy Evans, I actually have it.
Yeah, Guy Evans. The thing that gets me about that is when you read that book, you realize it wasn't Eric Bischoff and his quote ATM stature that killed WCW. It was the .com boom. The .com boom murdered an entire wrestling lineage.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon was just lucky enough to pick up the library.
It was and I'm sure everybody out there listens to 83 Weeks and have heard Bischoff talk about the book by Guy Evans and everything. I have it. I own because I'm a huge WCW mark. So I was like, when I started hearing all these stories, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this book. And I've read the book and I'm just like, there's a lot of stuff in there that I knew, but there's a lot of stuff in there that I didn't know. And it was the thing of Bischoff, he did. He treated WCW as a wrestling company, but he treated WCW as a television product more than anything. And this is the thing is, if you look at AEW, and yes, they're going on TNT in October and everything, Bischoff still knows a good amount of people that are in that Turner Media group. So, of course, when the news broke out that WWE had signed Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff to executive creative roles for Raw and SmackDown, respectively, it also was reported that they did it primarily also from a talent aspect as well to keep them away from anyone else.
And because Eric Bischoff showing up on TNT would be hilarious. hilarious, or would have been hilarious. I'm an Eric Bischoff fan. I thought he did the evil boss gimmick before Vince did.
Yeah.
It's just Vince was more hated for real life reasons. But for me, and looking at it, there is a creative shift in it. They're trying to get that teenage male demographic back. They're trying to get the female demographic back that was into it.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that WWE lacks right now in their giant roster of stars is that one guy.
Well,
yeah.
And what's funny about that, you bring that up, is both Ric Flair, most recently, and John Cena, they've talked about that. And it's not so much as there is that one guy. John Cena, when John Cena talked about it, he's like, it's not a sense of being one guy. It's a group of guys. It's a group of people. Where Ric Flair recently came out and said, there's not that one person. And he's like, yeah, Roman Reigns was getting to that point. But when Roman Reigns went out with the battle of leukemia, it kind of knocked him back a little bit.
Yeah, because, it reminded me of, in many ways, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We come from a different era of wrestling where we remember the Monday Night War burned into our fucking brain. When Stone Cold Steve Austin left to go have the neck surgery, the fusion, in late 99, early 2000, The Rock was all like, The Rock and Stone Cold were like barely a millimeter apart popularity.
Yeah.
Okay. You had already established all these guys under Stone Cold. The only thing is that Rock took over Stone Cold's role and essentially just kept it going. Mankind was already there. Triple H was already a bad guy on the rise. 2000, he had a phenomenal year. You already had Big Show. You already had Jericho. You already had the Hardys. You already had the Acolytes. You had Kurt Angle coming into his own in 2000 while Stone Cold was gone. When Stone Cold came back, he had new guys to work with.
Yep.
Sure, that became huge stars while he was gone. That just made their dollar value even higher. To me, that era of wrestling was still Stone Cold and The Rock.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? You had your Undertakers and everything else. Right now, though, I look at WWE's product, and it's like, when they sell a backpack, they've got like 5 people on it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you go to a Walmart or a Target and see a backpack for upcoming schools, and it's Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch,
in the paint,
Finn Balor in the demon paint, New Day, and
Kofi.
Like, that's about it. Like,
it's like, you're right. There's no Kevin Owens on any of that shit, even though Kevin Owens' mic skills are fucking brutally amazing.
Yes.
There's no Braun Strowman on that shit. And Braun Strowman 2 years ago was on the rise to be like the next big guy.
Yeah.
And then whatever happened. I mean, to me, I look at WWE and I look at their merchandise and I'm like, it reminds me of the late 90s when it's like, okay, on backpacks back then, you had Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Triple H, Mankind, Chris Jericho. So the formula hasn't changed, but you all knew who number one was on that fucking backpack. Okay? Just like Hulk Hogan. I remember the lunchbox. Hulk Hogan, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, and the Legion of Doom.
Yep.
You knew who number one was.
But you knew who number one was. And that's the thing. WWE's not changed the formula, but the presentation has changed because you no longer have that number one guy. And I'm sorry to say this. I know, and finally, a lot of people have finally just come around over the past 2 years, especially over the past year. John Cena was your guy. John Cena was the face of the WWE for the last 15 years. You don't have that anymore. You don't have the guy that was the moneymaker.
Yeah, I mean, John Cena, okay. A couple years ago, John Cena was facing Roman Reigns on the Christmas tour for WWE house shows at Times Union Center. Okay, John Cena hadn't wrestled on TV in months, but John Cena was doing the house shows.
Yep.
People were paying to see that. The year prior, or 6 months prior, it was John Cena in the main event against AJ Styles in an Albany street fight. Once again, John Cena wasn't on TV much, but John Cena was doing the house shows. Do you know why? Because John Cena's name brings attendance up. John Cena's name still makes the merchandise rise. I'm sorry. Fans are going to come to a really hard realization soon that John Cena is going to be more missed than they want to admit.
Oh, yeah.
Because John Cena, while people were booing him, he was gathering tools so that when he wrestled CM Punk in Chicago in 2011, could give CM Punk the match of his career.
Exactly.
So when Kevin Owens got introduced from NXT, he could give Kevin Owens. So that when he and AJ said, you get what I'm saying? John Cena put those guys over fucking hard so that when it was his time to leave,
yep,
it was okay. And so far, there hasn't been that one dude to take it and run with it. AJ Styles has signed his last contract in wrestling.
Yep, he's
done after this.
Yeah, I think he signed a 3-year deal. I think 3-year deal, and at the end of that 3-year deal, he's like, I'm done.
He's made fucking millions of dollars.
Yep.
Okay, and there are a lot of other guys that could have been the guy. Braun Strowman was close.
Strowman was close, and there were talks about like lack of just environment or whatever. Of course, Roman Reigns is there. It's the thing is, and yes, you have NXT, and WWE's trying to create their own stars. But if you really look at the main 10, 12 people of WWE, outside of Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Bayley, for the most part, it's all guys that have made their names on the independents or elsewhere.
Yep.
Excuse me, I forgot to mention Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was a WWE guy. But
I'm not gonna shit on Roman Reigns.
No,
I think he's a great talent. The problem with Roman Reigns was the fans. Okay. The fans, once again, they want their cake and they want to eat it too.
Yep.
1 year, like the year Daniel Bryan was in the main event of WrestleMania, they were hoping that Roman Reigns would throw Dave Bautista over the top rope because they didn't want another guy. They wanted Roman.
Yep.
The following year, he got booed out the fucking building. The year after that, he got booed out the fucking building. They tried their hardest, but in trying their hardest, they turned people away. I think the one thing that helped him was, and I hate to say it, don't think that I'm saying it was a good thing, when he came out and told everyone, look, I've got leukemia. I need to go deal with this. I'll be back. My first love is pro wrestling. I want you guys to know that. I think even the most diehard wrestling fan was like,
yeah, when
I have to respect him.
It's like when he made that announcement for leukemia, I was like, he's not talking as Roman, he's talking as Joe. And
yeah,
I was like, yo, he's going to take care of himself, but when he comes back, he's going to go take care of himself and he's going to come back. And what's funny is a lot, and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with somebody, and they were like, oh, well, John Cena left, and John Cena did exactly what John Cena said he was never going to do, and whatnot. And I'm like, what's that? He's like, oh, well, when he had the battle with The Rock, he was on The Rock about going to Hollywood, and now John Cena's in Hollywood. I was like, listen, was like, that's everybody. That's honestly, if you look at the last 15 years to the WWE, the main guys in WWE got opportunities outside and ran with it. You look at Stone Cold Steve Austin when his career was he knew his wrestling career was coming to an end. He went out and started doing other things, movies, TV shows. Rock did the same thing.
Hulk Hogan did it. Roddy Piper did it. Terry Funk did it. Dusty Rhodes did it. Okay? It's not uncommon for these guys to stick their toe in it. Not only that, but the Screen Actors Guild, kids, pays for all of your medical. All you need to do is work on a movie for 6 weeks.
Yep, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, and I was like, one of the nights I got lost in the internet, I came across like interviews with Hogan and Savage and Piper and Rhodes and Flair, and they said it. He's like, yeah, at times when we were hurt and everything, yeah, we went and did movies because we knew we'd be able to get taken care of.
Yeah, because Roddy Piper said it himself. His hip replacement surgery was paid for by John Carpenter movies.
Yep.
Like, that's one of the, like, when Darren Aronofsky dared in 2009, after The Wrestler became such a fucking commercial success, dared to go out there and say, well, if a pro wrestler is on TV every week for 52 weeks on a 2-hour program, that adds up to X, which means that he ought to be entitled to a Screen Actors Guild card, which would insure him health insurance, dental, surgeries, anything related to said 2-hour program.
Yep.
And people looked at him like, what the fuck are you talking about? What he's talking about is sitting in a locker room with King Kong Bundy, who could barely lace up his fucking boots and could barely move because his knees are fucking shot. And he's like, weren't you like a major television star?
Yep.
But that doesn't translate.
Same thing with Andre the Giant doing Princess Bride.
Yep. Exactly. Like, he got his back surgery taken care of, in part because of his SAG card.
Yep.
To me, John Cena, and like, this is the entire thing where if John Cena shows up in AEW, I'm going to cream my pants. Sorry. I want to see it. Do you know why? Because John Cena would instantly be the biggest fucking heel in that company, and he wouldn't have to do shit. No,
he wouldn't. And that's the thing, like, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I was like, because I've thought about it because I'm almost done with finally getting through of all the Monday Night War material on the WWE Network and rewatching WCW and everything. And I watched Fyter Fest and whatnot, and I'm like, and I remember back to that first Nitro at the Mall of America when 4 days prior, Lex Luger was on WWE Superstars on a Saturday morning.
Fuck that. The night prior, he was in Nova Scotia at a house show.
And that's true. Yeah, that's true. He literally a house show the night before, and you get to Monday Night Raw, and it's literally Ric Flair and Sting, and out comes Luger, and I'm just like, holy shit, it's Lex Luger. Like, imagine. And in this day and age, and at that point, that was September of 95. The internet and everything was not as big as it is now. Imagine that first AEW show on TNT, and you're in that last 15 minutes or something, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, freaking John Cena walks out. Doesn't say anything, just walks out and looks at the ring.
To me, John Cena has said he's thinking about retiring from WWE.
Yeah.
John Cena has said WWE has been his home.
Yep.
However, and I'm just going to say this throwing this out there. He also has been kind of vocal over the last few years about his displeasure that Brock Lesnar shows up and gets paid millions.
Yeah.
Just to show up. Just to show up.
Yep.
Meanwhile, John Cena for 15 years busted his ass and can't get that level of showing up and getting a $2 million paycheck.
Yep.
He's still expected to perform at the level of John Cena-dom that we've all expected, which is why, like, when John Cena showed up at WrestleMania this year as the Doctor of Thugonomics and the crowd popped the way that they did, I thought to myself, I'm like, John Cena could show up on AEW and it would get a louder reaction than CM Punk. That got me thinking, like, why are we so concerned with CM Punk, who's made it kind of crystallized?
He's done with
he's fucking done with pro wrestling.
Yeah.
He wants nothing to do with pro wrestling. Unless this is a great work and we're going to see him at All Out. For the most part, he doesn't give a fuck. And you know what?
And that's the thing. And the thing with CM Punk, is if CM Punk shows up at All Out, everybody's going to be like, and look at him and go, ha, we knew it. You denied and denied and denied, but we still knew you were coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
If John Cena
showed up,
if John Cena just shows up and pulls, like, walk out maybe halfway down the entranceway during the last match, during Hangman Page and Jericho, and just kind of just stands there, like, the conglomerate of the internet wrestling community would essentially lose their shit.
Because I honestly believe Tony Khan would give John Cena a contract that would allow John Cena to go do movies.
Oh, yeah.
And pay him the money that he deserves.
Yep.
I'm going to stress that again. John Cena deserves a lot of fucking money. He's made a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But that man has put himself out there for so fucking long. He deserves whatever dollar amount John Cena puts on a piece of paper, you should double it. Just because it's John fucking Cena.
Yep. Hey,
my opinion.
Like, honestly, I'm not going to disagree with you because I would. Because to truth be honest, if a magic genie popped out of nowhere and was like, okay, we're going to give you X amount of dollars to run a wrestling company. Then name the first person you want. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to name John Cena. I'm going to be like, you know what? I will hand him $8 million for whatever. He can show up and he can do everything because that man has deserved it. He has earned that money with all the media appearances, the Make-A-Wishes, the working the house shows while not working TV, just to establish guys on a work rate and everything to get them better and to get them to where the WWE audience accepts them.
Yep. I mean, he co-hosted the Ellen DeGeneres show recently, and they didn't have him as WWE superstar John Cena. It was just John Cena.
Yep.
John Cena is a name now. John Cena is a brand. John Cena is recognizable. John Cena is part of the Fast and the Furious cast now. My opinion, first off, that's typecasting because of John Cena's car collection. But secondly, imagine AEW wrestler John Cena is in the house. On Good Morning America, we're going to be back with AEW superstar John Cena. Boom.
And the thing is
just like Hogan did for WCW. And
like I mentioned it, like Jericho's made the association that he is what he is to AEW, what Hogan was to WCW. Yes, I'm not going to disagree with that. But if John Cena shows up at AEW, Jericho, you're just Kurt Jericho.
But see, the argument can be made right there. It's like, I made you, John Cena.
Yep.
Like, there you go. Because John Cena's first pay-per-view match was against Chris Jericho.
It was.
Like, there's so much. Just like Chicago was where John Cena debuted against Kurt Angle on SmackDown. You know, you have to think about Cody Rhodes is a student of wrestling, and I know we were talking about WWE, but I mean, John Cena is, I hate to say it, more recognizable
WWE than
the recognized brand. And I mean, it's all relative because you have to look at what's going on NXT, NXT UK, what's about to be NXT Japan.
Yep.
You have to look at all of this shit, the Saudi Arabia shows, all of this stuff matters because, we just had the WWE Reimagined episode debuted on Sunday, and fans are clamoring now more than ever for Undertaker versus Sting.
Yep.
Okay. Every fan of the Monday Night War wanted that fucking match.
Oh my god! And instead we got Undertaker and Goldberg
in Saudi Arabia. And I mean, 5 minutes into the match, now mind you, I have not watched one Saudi Arabia show. I refuse, based on principle alone.
Yeah.
I don't condone any country that slaughters homosexuals and beats women to death because they're out in public without a male relative. And I'm not going to condone a murderous, blood-soaked country like Saudi Arabia, but that's beside the point. I will say though, I did watch Goldberg knock himself the fuck out 5 minutes into a match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where it's like you're putting that as the main event on your show because it's what a Saudi prince wants.
Yep.
What about your fans? What your fans want to see. I mean, to me, your fans want to see awesome shit all the time. Now, I'm not saying put Sting and Undertaker in the main event of WrestleMania next year. That's not what I'm saying at all. Mid-card main would be cool. But, I mean, for the most part, it's like, start listening to your audience because as we discussed before we went on air, this is the best time ever to be a fan of professional wrestling because, you have the Fight app where you have Ring of Honor television is available on the go. You have Ring of Honor having their best in the world. You have New Japan Pro Wrestling World. You have the WWE Network. You have
BR Live showing AEW.
Exactly. You've got fucking Evolve on the network of all things. You have got Progress Pro Wrestling. You've got all of this stuff. Australia is starting to pick up speed as far as their professional wrestling.
Yep.
It's like, I want to be that guy to say we live in quite possibly one of the best times to be a pro wrestling fan. And the number one company in the world for pro wrestling doesn't always give you pro wrestling, or at least doesn't give you what you want, according to some fans.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a small break here to get some more Gear Network sponsors out and all that. But we're going to jump right back into the show after this break.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like sports, interactive polls, friendly banter from two guys that probably shouldn't even be on the microphone doing this stuff anyways? Well, if you do, then you're in luck. Us two knuckleheads, Brandon and myself, comprise the Listen In Podcast. That's right, Listen In, the podcast. We're talking sports, we're talking news, we're talking topical things, we're talking all sorts of things, my babies. And you are all invited to listen in right here on the Gear Radio Network.
And we're going to pick up with the TTRP, Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, right where we cut it off for the special commercial break from the Gear Network. And what's funny with the WWE is over the last 2 weeks, I haven't watched WWE programming in some time. I'm going to admit that. Do I pay it? Do I watch highlights? Yes. Do I read results? Yes. I stay in tune to what's going on. But the last 2 weeks of Raw, you've seen minor changes in things because the last 2 weeks of Raw, instead of opening with the show with a 25-minute promo between six people to set up the main event match that's going to happen in 2 hours, the last 2 weeks of Raw, you've had a match. You've had an actual wrestling match open the show.
Well, which is what they used to. Paul Heyman is smart, okay? Paul Heyman is the mad genius of professional wrestling. Fans tune in to watch wrestling. You want to give them a match, hook them, do a backstage thing, say, oh, I'm going to go address this. It's not the formula that it needed to be from back in the day where it's start the show with a promo. And I mean, this was WWF and WCW on Monday nights. Stone Cold or Vince McMahon started off Raw or SmackDown. The NWO generally started off Nitro.
And what's funny is even if you listen to Bischoff talk, Bischoff would be like, okay, at 9 o'clock, he was starting off with the cruiserweights.
Yep, because he wanted that shift of the hour to get the most eyes, which is why he threw the flashy guys out there. And then at the 10 o'clock hour, you had like the United States title,
yep.
And then the main event was the championship match or someone in the contendership for it,
or something along the lines of your major storyline.
Exactly, and I mean he brought you on waves. And I will say this: the Samoa Joe promo segment with Kofi Kingston on SmackDown.
Yes.
Was beautiful, because anyone that's like, why would Kofi? I saw one person comment, if Kofi Kingston is the good guy, why did he give Samoa Joe the finger? Do you want to know why he gave Samoa Joe the finger? Because I'll tell you right now, if some douchebag was telling me, if you don't shake my hand, I'm going to kick every one of your friends' ass, I'd laugh at him and be like, fuck you. Because that's what Kofi did. And
yep.
It was brilliant. And it was done with a smile, and then Kofi kicked his fucking head in.
Yep.
It's building for a story. And that's the other thing. Like, a lot of these interviews that are coming out lately, WWE is overproduced. WWE gives you a script. This is what it wants you to be. It's like, back in the day,
yeah, bullet points. Guys that had issues with promos had bullet points. Guys that could cut a promo, they're like, here's a few things we want you to hit. Go.
Exactly. You never needed to hand Piper a piece of paper to tell Roddy Piper how to be Roddy fucking Piper.
Nope.
Okay. The greatest promo man in the history of the business. Okay. Hulk Hogan didn't need you to tell him how to be Hulk Hogan.
Jake the Snake Roberts didn't need you to tell him how to be Jake the Snake Roberts.
Exactly. You did not need Jake the Snake to have a written promo to tell me as a fan how he would feel about watching Damien getting crushed by Earthquake.
Yeah.
You know what? I fucking watched it firsthand. Cried like a bitch. It was a beautiful moment in television for being as dark as it was. Okay, I don't need someone translating the Ultimate Warrior's promos to know he's in the upside down. Okay, he's gone. He's fucking out there.
Yeah. Or you don't need to tell me that the Iron Sheik is calling everybody jabronis because he thinks he's better than you because of the country he's from.
Exactly. To me, it's like, if these guys believe they're that good, okay, well, what have you got? Write a promo. Write the promo. Let these guys do it. I'm saying that. Like, let these guys do their own fucking promos. Give them a time. Tell them how long they have. And let them go with the bullet points you said.
And the thing is, all you have to do is look at last week SmackDown, Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon, and Drew McIntyre. Kevin Owens, if that was scripted, okay, cool, whatever. But the way Kevin Owens cut that off and cut that promo, there's no way that had to be scripted because Kevin Owens was just off the cuff.
Exactly, and it's like there are certain guys you know can do that, like Dustin Rhodes was just talking about. You know, you hand me a piece of paper with this giant thing. It's like, no, just give me 3 bullet points. What are my 3 bullet points? What do you want me to get across? I can go out there and do it. It's like, you know, these guys, guys spend years learning how to do promos. Yes, some people can cut promos, some people can't. It's a lost art in a lot of ways when you start making people say, you know, polysyllabic words where it's, you know, if I have to clap my hands 5 times to count the syllables in this word, when I can easily just call someone a douche, you know, to me, that takes, if I as a fan am sitting there like, wow, he's really struggling with this promo.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like, then why is this promo being done? You know, it's like Chris Jericho could go out there and cut one hell of a wicked promo. I mean, because he's that damn good at it. You know, it's, to me, especially with the promo, the wrestling is secondary. That I'm not worried about with WWE. They've got the best wrestlers in the world under contract.
Yep.
You know, they have got talent from here to Timbuktu. They've got some amazing wrestlers. Connecting with their characters is the tough part at times.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and the thing when they announced the positions for Heyman and Bischoff is they weren't going to be on-air positions. It was going to be and whatnot. Heyman was still going to maintain his on-air position as the advocate for Brock Lesnar, but Bischoff was not going to be on TV. He's not going to be there and whatnot. And that's fine. I'm perfectly fine with Eric Bischoff not being on TV because both Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman have come out and said the era of a on-screen general manager is done. It's over. It's been done. It's dead. You don't need it anymore.
Fighting a McMahon is one thing.
Yes.
Like Shane McMahon is his dad at this point in time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm waiting, if you want the truth, I'm waiting for the power couple fight on Raw. I'm waiting for Triple H and Stephanie versus Seth Rollins and the Man.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's bound to fucking happen. It's a SummerSlam main event, if you want my opinion.
Yeah, and the only thing I don't like about the whole Seth Rollins Becky Lynch thing is like, all right, they're dating. That's cool. Awesome. But why do you guys need to make it into a storyline?
You know, it's not the first time it's been done.
That's true.
Matt and Lita was one of the best couples. In fact, I really wish that CM Punk and AJ versus Triple H and
Stephanie would have happened.
I mean, it's like, you know, these power couples exist. I think there are some people that are kind of turned off by it. They're like, but you know what? They genuinely seem to enjoy each other's company.
They work when they're done right.
Yeah, and it's like I watched the video of them at a house show, and they did the Dirty Dancing spot.
Yeah,
you know, when Johnny holds baby up, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, fuck yeah, like that's cute. It's not like, you know, when they were pretending that John Cena was an item with Maria, or like, you know, when you have these forced storylines like Christian and Trish Stratus. It's like,
yeah,
okay, if they're a real couple and they're actually going out there and having fun, I think that's great. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's like, but don't, at this point in time, for me, for those two, that works. Will there be, other couples that come out? Like, we now know that, you know, friggin' Zelina and Aleister Black, thanks to those adorable videos that Xavier Woods keeps posting. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That we know they're a couple, and it's awesome. We know Sarah Logan is married to War Raider. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
He's married to Luke Raymond Rowe.
Yeah, Thank you. It's like, it's like we know they even have it. Like Vince McMahon sends tweets out like congratulating couples now when they get married. It's like it's fucking adorable.
They confirmed Andrade and Charlotte at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, well, first off, good luck, pal. Like that's Nature's daughter.
Yeah.
But secondly, it's like exactly like, you have these couples that, they're not just doing it for total divas. Fuck, The Miz and Maurice.
Yep.
They're a power couple. And the cool part about it is, when it's done right, like you said, it can be awesome. Let's hope they continue to do it right. Now that they've confirmed that they're a power couple in WWE, okay, cool. We're going to get a couple mixed tag matches out of the deal, but let's also separate the two and let them defend their belts. You know what I mean? Like, let them be their individual characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I saw the T-shirt, "The Man's Man."
Yep.
For Seth Rollins. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, part of me is like, that's cool. That's kind of cool. He's like, fuck yeah, I'm banging the hottest chick in WWE. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's another part of me that's like, that's like when a couple dresses the same when they show up to a barbecue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or they have a shared Facebook account.
Or the couples Halloween costumes.
Yeah. All right, well, it depends on the Halloween costume. My buddy Tim, who just got married, I think he did Jack and Coke one year, which was adorable as fuck.
Yeah, but, if it's something like that's adorable and stuff like that, or the peanut butter and jelly that I've seen.
What was fucking me and my kid are doing Woody and Buzz, and my girlfriend is going to be
Jesse.
Bo Peep.
Oh, Bo Peep. Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. That's the most brilliant shit I've ever heard. And then I'm sitting here and I'm contemplating dressing like a cowboy, and I'm like, I hate my life. But I mean, it goes the same for pro wrestling. Like, I really hope it works.
Yeah.
Like deep down inside, I really hope that these creative shifts that WWE does, and these Bruce Pritchard coming back, these acquisitions.
Yeah.
I hope they use them.
Yeah.
Because, it's coming to a point right now where everyone is competition against WWE. And everyone is competition against each other.
And that's the thing, like, everybody's competition. And a lot of people have come out and said Vince knows AEW's competition. He knows that they're a competition. But he's not worrying about them he's worrying about them to a degree, but he's not worrying about them just yet. Because unlike the Monday Night Wars, where at that point in time, WWE was a privately owned company, wasn't publicly traded, Vince has more people to answer to more now than he did 20 years ago.
Which is why you have to be careful with trying to draw back in. On Fox, anything goes. Okay, Family Guy is on Fox on primetime. Anything goes on Fox.
Oh yeah, and the thing is with Fox, there's been numerous stories and everything. Fox wants the WWE. It doesn't want the entertainment aspect of it. It wants the sports aspect of it. So if you're putting Bischoff in the executive creative role of SmackDown, come after Extreme Rules, whatever, that's when it's been said that the Bischoff changes are going to affect. Okay, Fox wants a sports show. Bischoff's going to give you a sports show. He's going to give you wrestling.
Yeah, Bischoff, and I don't think Eric Bischoff gets nearly the credit he deserves for as successful as WCW was, because Eric Bischoff went out and when he wanted wrestlers,
he got them.
He got. I mean, Chris Jericho became a household name on WCW.
Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio.
Chris Benoit.
Yeah, Psychosis.
Juventud Guerrera, Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yep.
It was not Booker T. Diamond Dallas Page, The Big Show. I can sit here and just rattle off guys who were ex-WCW guys who were internationally known, or maybe not internationally known, but at least regionally known in the United States at that time. And yes, some of them did come through from ECW. We're not going to get into that argument. Yes, that shit happened. But Bischoff had an eye for talent, and then he put them on television.
Yep.
Now, and I'm learning this through this Nitro book, that because Eric Bischoff was dealing with the bullshit at CNN Tower, he wasn't always responsible or as eye on the ball with booking as he should have been. Therefore, a lot of shit got through that either ruined characters or
stifled them stunted them, stifled them because of the quote unquote politics in the locker room.
Exactly. But to me, my whole thing is, let's look at it. From 95 to mid-98, motherfucking Eric Bischoff put good wrestling on TV.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yes, I'm going to say this because I've watched it. Yes, for 95, and Bischoff has even admitted it. I mean, he's like, at times he's going, and he's admitted on E3s. He's like, at times it's like, what in the fuck was I thinking? Dungeon of Doom. But there were also times where Bischoff's like, at that time, especially once you came around to late 95, early 96, when he started to move to a realistic point of view of the characters. And then when he got Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and the NWO started and went with this realistic thing, it changed what professional wrestling was. Because for the longest time, pro wrestling was quote unquote fake to some people, but then the NWO with the backstage scenes and everything made it feel real.
Even booking in 96, we mentioned the Dungeon of Doom, like you had Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan.
Yep.
Okay, yes, hokey in 95, but then let's not take away from the fact in 1996, he had one hell of a motherfucking feud with Chris Benoit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, that Falls Count Anywhere match where they were fighting in the men's bathroom was fucking beautiful. And like, there were dudes literally walking out of the pisser, turning around, and it's like, oh, they're beating the shit out of each other in front of the sinks. Like, there were legit fans in the bathroom going deuce, coming out.
Yep.
To
and Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan's like just bop bop bop. And not to mention, and the thing is with the WCW booking, Bischoff admits when he was starting, when the rumors of the mergers were starting to happen, and he was being called to the tower and standards and practices and this and that and budgets and everything. Yeah, he wasn't really focused on like what was going on. That's when the quote unquote younger talent that Bischoff wanted to push, the Chris Jerichos, the Chris Benoits, the Eddie Guerreros, were starting to get stifled under the old guard, so to speak.
Yeah. And I mean, the way that I view it is, I don't see that being an issue for Eric Bischoff.
Oh, no.
I see Eric Bischoff being told, okay, Fox wants this. Can you give this? Eric Bischoff would not leave his job that he has now, and the podcasting tours that he's doing, and the stage show, and the fan meeting,
and the fact that when he's not on the road and whatnot, he's in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, just chilling out to go to Stanford. He stated at one point he did not want to move to Connecticut.
No. I mean, he flat out is not leaving his blue chew loving hot wife in order to go to Stanford to not achieve something. Like, I'm sorry, Eric Bischoff is a competitive person.
Yep.
There's got to be that competitive Eric Bischoff deep down inside. Like, these guys think they're running a wrestling show on TNT after fucking me over on a business deal 17 years ago. There's got to be a little part of him that's like, fuck these kids.
Oh yeah,
There's gotta be.
And that's the thing. Like, there has to be, and you're right. I'm going to agree with you. There has to be something within Eric Bischoff that goes, these same sons of bitches 20 years ago told me they did not want wrestling on TNT. Now, all of a sudden, because a Dusty Rhodes Kid and this person, they're going to put wrestling on the network I was trying to build on. Oh yeah, I can guarantee you, he's got a little bit of a bone to pick somewhere.
Oh yeah, and I mean, especially because it's prime time, and Eric Bischoff, as long as he's not on screen and it's just him and the show, I think that he is going to tell phenomenal stories with the cast of characters that are going to be solidified over on SmackDown.
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't want any more of this wild card bullshit. It's like two completely different networks, two completely different rosters.
Oh no, that
make it happen.
Yeah, like I truthfully, hopefully believe that Bischoff will take SmackDown and be like, listen, this is the roster I want. These are the guys that I need to make this show viable. Give me these guys, and that's all I want. The rest of them you can put on Raw. I don't care.
Yeah, and you take a couple from NXT. I could imagine him doing great things with Velveteen Dream.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, he would make money with the Dream.
Yeah.
But as far as WWE goes and this entire year, once again, you're just piling more awesomeness on top of an already stacked 2019, and the fact that wrestling is in another renaissance. It may have taken it 20 years, but the renaissance that it's about to go through thanks to digital media is huge.
Yep. And this is the thing is, if you look at the digital media aspect, but also you look at the independent wrestling aspect, there on any given weekend in a state, there's 3, 4, 5 shows running within a 2 to maybe 4 hour time frame of a major city.
And, it's funny because a couple weeks ago on WrestleZone, they reported, John Moxley faces Cass XL and Enzo at an NEW show. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know motherfuckers who are on that fucking show. You know what I mean? Like, that's the funny part about it is that you've got companies that are bringing in these names in order to give the best pro wrestling around. And you know what? They're successful at it. And there's drawing power to it. You have House of Hardcore, Tommy Dreamer's company. I mean, you have so many options for pro wrestling these days. And that's the beauty of it is all you have to do is just look.
And that's the thing, like, you just look, and then you also have companies that will bring in a guy like John Moxley or a Cass XL or whatever, and then you have other companies that bring in, like, the older guys, like a Coco Beware or the guys that you grew up with in the 80s, and you're like, hey, cool, I can go and meet guys that I watched in WWE 20 years ago.
Exactly. And I've bet companies recently that had like Billy Gunn in the main event, and Billy Gunn wasn't there for a 5-minute match. Billy Gunn was there to go for 20.
Yep.
And it's like you're sitting there and you're like, holy shit, this is great television. This would be great on television. And to me, that just goes the staying power of professional wrestling. And I think that all of these companies, whether it's New Japan, whether it is any of the NXTs that are sprouting up, whether it's Progress, Evolve, Ring of Honor, lot of people forget to mention Impact. I mean, I think Killer Cross just waterboarded Sandman a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he
on national television.
Yeah, he did. And then him and Eddie Edwards had a very hell of a hardcore match just 2 nights ago.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Wrestling's not dead. It's not hard to find.
And then also Impact, freaking the knockouts, Jessica Havoc, Sue Young, Taya Valkyrie, and Rosemary just had a Monsters Ball match. Tessa Blanchard faced Sami Callihan in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, you have great wrestling out there. I think WWE is looking around and they're like, wow, I think maybe at one point they were like, there's no real competition. And then the sun is staring them in their face. And it's like, well, we have a lot of it. I think maybe Jericho going to New Japan was maybe the bubblings of it. But now with everything going on, I think part of the, acquiring guys back like Bruce Pritchard and Bischoff and putting Heyman on full time with creative, it's like, I think all of that is a direct result of the fact that they know it's time to either nut up or shut up. It's time to show we're the best, or it's time that we go. They don't want to be on the defensive. They remember what it was like on the defensive in 96, 97.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And the thing is, Vince remembers it. Bruce Pritchard remembers it. Bischoff remembers it. Heyman remembers that time. All 4 of those guys remember what they had to do and what they went through.
Exactly.
And
none of them want to be second best.
And I'm sure, it's been 20 years, so certain things are foggy. They don't remember certain things, but they remember. I guarantee you, they remember the general principle of that time.
They remember being broke. Yep. You know what I mean? Like Vince, I'm sure remembers creditors calling. Vince, I'm sure remembers, sponsors leaving to go to the competition. I'm sure Vince is still holding it deep down inside about all of that stuff. I mean, the scars of the Monday Night War are not gone. They bring it up all the time. I mean, for fuck's sake, this reimagined show that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. What was it? Monday Night War based.
Yeah.
What if John Cena never signed with WWE? It was Undertaker switching sides to WCW.
Shawn Michaels switching sides and joining the NWO instead of DX.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of those things where it's like they're already thinking about your next reimagine. It's like, yeah, you can call it fantasy booking, or you can call it, hey, remember how we went to war and we weren't afraid to fight? Yeah, you might want to back off, kid.
And to finish this off, everything, all you got to do is look at Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff was like, it wasn't a matter of hurting, and he's like, I never wanted to hurt the WWE. I never wanted to shut them down. I wanted to be number one. I wanted to be number one in the ratings. When them ratings came to me every week, I wanted to see WCW Monday Nitro on top with whatever number it was in the number one show of the week for all the hours that I was on and the key demographics that we were targeting.
And, the thing I respect Bischoff for the most is when Bischoff said, when my boss asked me how we could compete, and he just pulled it out of his ass, thinking this isn't going to work, he's not going to say yes. And then he said, okay, 2 hours every Monday on prime time on TNT. And it worked. It worked.
Yep.
Bischoff made it work because his boss wanted the number one wrestling show. And you have to respect Bischoff for that, but more importantly, respecting Bischoff for the fact that he's willing to come back to this sport. Heyman's always been around.
Yeah.
But Eric Bischoff coming back into this,
yep,
that, at his age, but his experience, it's a fountain of youth.
especially with all the experience he's had with TV production and everything, especially going to Fox networks.
Exactly, because he knows how to deal with executives.
Yep.
Hopefully he doesn't yell at them or throw coffee at them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's going to end it for us. A myriad of wrestling talk. We went over the AEW card, and then for the last hour or so, pretty much talked everything: WWE, AEW, TNA, and just the overall aspect of professional wrestling and its future. I'd like to thank Sergeant Fury for joining me once again. For Pat G, Sergeant Fury, this has been the Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast. We are out.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.